guys, Lunar Spam 27 here, bringing Fairy Tail Chapter 349, The Demon Doriarte. Which, by the way, Doriarte is Onswitch Guy's real name. So the chapter begins with Gray being affected by the Retrogression magic, which not only turned him into a little boy, but also weakened his magic, offense, and defense. Then all of a sudden, Doriarte falls off this ledge made out of ice that Gray made a while ago. Although I didn't get why didn't Doriarte notice a ledge made out of ice since he took a couple steps back. Now according to Gray, even though his abilities have been reduced, his mind, however, is still the same and works very well. And since, his ice make magic is a type of molding magic which utilizes the imagination as your weapon, Gray seems to have more of an advantage on this. However, this actually pisses off Doriarte, so he begins to climb up the cliff again. Then all of a sudden, Gray disappears, and it turns out that Doriarte was on top of a fake floor made of ice. Apparently, even though his magic is weakened, Gray can still use his imagination for his ice make magic. But when did he have the time to make an artificial floor? Something that's big enough for Doriarte. So when did that happen? But anyway, the floor disappears and Doriarte falls onto this, what looks like a bush out of ice thorns or something. Since his magic is weakened, he couldn't make spikes or anything. He gets hit by those on his ass and he gets pissed off even further. So then Gray tries to make an ice make hammer, but it was incredibly tiny since, retrogression magic. So he decides to break the ice and turn it into shaved ice. So yeah, he just had shaved ice fall on Doriarte's head. Okay. Granted, this isn't actually the worst fight I've ever seen, but this was actually okay. So Gray then starts taunting Doriarte, saying that he wasn't the one responsible for freezing the giants and the village, since he didn't actually possess this kind of magical power, saying that he's just merely small fry and he's got to take care of the grunts before he can get to the boss. And then all of a sudden, Doriarte turns red. What looks like he's turning red, I don't know, darker shade, and then he starts sweating. But then we had to cut back to Erza and Minerva, and we see Erza, who's been completely knocked out. She's defeated by Minerva, and you think that Minerva would decide to finish her off right then and there, but no, she decides to torture Erza even further, just to hear her beg for mercy and forgiveness, and hear, and I quote, the pathetic cries of a shamed warrior. But then Erza had to talk about friendship. Whatever. Honestly, it's not the worst thing I've ever heard, but, considering what I always hear about Fairy Tail, Anyway, she said that Minerva lost her pride as a mage, and she told her not to forget that the magical powers come for your friends and those you care deeply for. And then she tells Minerva that it's not too late to escape the darkness. Okay, you know what? I know there's some characters in Fairy Tail that get redeemed in the series, but of all the characters that do not deserve to be redeemed, I want it to be Minerva, because Minerva is a cold-hearted, sadistic bitch. She's completely evil. I have not heard anything about her backstory. All she cares about is being the strongest, being the best. She will do whatever means necessary for that to happen, whether it be holding people hostage, torturing them. She's sadistic. She's cold-hearted, and I don't think a person like her should be redeemed whatsoever. I mean, Old Tear was redeemed, and yeah, she was evil back then, but at least she had some sort of tragic backstory, and hell, her redemption was at least decent, even though she's officially out of the picture. Not officially dead yet, she's still no lady, but anyway. Minerva, of course, doesn't fall for it, and she starts speaking in her language. She said preposterous in her language is called Lohoseto. I don't know what kind of language it is. And then she decides to try to kill Erza, but then all of a sudden she changes back to her original form. What? No, seriously, that was it. I mean, before Minerva tried to kill Erza, Erza's body returned back to normal. At first I was like, what the hell? But it was explained later on. And, right when her body was back to normal, she was actually now capable of kicking Minerva's ass, which she managed to do. And by the way, she was doing all this without wearing any underwear. She has no underwear, exposing her lady bits, her nether regions. Granted, this isn't the worst kind of fan service that I've seen in Fairy Tail. I mean, hey, it's Fairy Tail. We gotta have at least one fan service moment. But this just begs the question: this whole time, was Erza not wearing underwear, especially when she was fully clothed, or was her underwear too big that it fell out of her, just like the rest of her armor? All I know is that she has to equip into something decent, hopefully. And not only that, but she somehow managed to like steal Minerva's skirt, exposing her underwear. I swear to God, if this fight ends up with them trying to take each other's clothes off, I'm just gonna lose my shit. And anyway, Minerva actually mentioned that she had a counter against the whole Nakagami armor. You know, the literal plot armor, Deus Ex Machina armor. You know, the bend the laws of magic against their whim armor that she used against Minerva. And apparently she has a counter about it. But the thing is, that armor can only be used like every 10 years, right? And Erza only used it once. I mean, can Erza use that armor like once every 10 years, or can it be used multiple times in just every 10 years? You know what? I don't know. And honestly, I don't want to see that armor ever again because it was complete bullcrap that Erza actually had Deus Ex Machina armor. So then we had to cut back to Natsu, whose body's also back to normal, and then Gray as well, who's also back to normal. And again, I was so confused with this. I was like, how in the hell are they back to normal so easily? Because they didn't really defeat Doriarte. No, because apparently Doriarte was so angry at Gray that it managed to release the retrogression spell. So instead of like defeating Doriarte, you know, the user of the retrogression spell, they had to make him angry. What? I mean, would it have been a lot cooler if they tried to defeat Doriarte and then they went back to normal? But no, all they had to do was piss him off so badly that he had to turn into a freaking demon. That was basically it, and how you changed back. I mean, okay. You know, it's fairy tale, so why the hell not? As I said before, Doriarte then slowly started to turn into a demon, which Gray mentioned that it was Mira's Satan soul, but apparently it wasn't. And since we had like a panel of Deliora again, that Gray came to the realization that Doriarte, who is now turned into a full-fledged demon, was using magic from the Book of Zerath, and that is where the chapter ends. So yeah, that is Fairy Tail chapter 349. What did I think? Well, it was okay chapter. Honestly, I don't really know how to feel about this chapter. I mean, I did like the whole little Gray trying to fight against Doriarte. Granted, some of the stuff didn't make much sense. I mean, his molding magic, basically, he can make anything using his imagination. Kind of similar to Green Lantern's powers. And yet, I've seen more creative things from Green Lantern than I have seen from Gray. Then again, I still didn't get, like, how in the hell he managed to make a ledge without Doriarte noticing, or how to make that artificial floor. And I still don't get, like, what about the whole voice that told Gray that Deliora was dead? I mean, was it Ultir? Was it the same voice that Natsu heard? I mean, what was that? Now, I predicted that Gray was going to struggle and, you know, he'll win because of Nakama friendship and the magic would have been deactivated if, you know, he defeated Doriarte, but it doesn't really seem to be the case because the only way to change back was to make him so angry that the spell would deactivate. I guess because he was so angry that he couldn't like keep his cool to maintain the spell, but I don't know. I just thought it would have been a lot cooler if they managed to defeat him and then they changed back. But aside from that, I did like the fight. But then we had to get to the Erza Minerva fight, and you know what? Unless Minerva actually pulls off some really cool magic, I just don't see what the point is anymore. Because I know that Minerva is going to lose. Erza, since now she's back to normal, is going to win. And for some reason, we had to get a fan service moment. Well, it was tame, I will admit, but Erza is exposing her nether region. So there you go, guys. But then again, it was tolerable than some of the other fan service moments, like seeing Lucy naked most of the time. But frankly, I don't really care much about the Minerva Erza fight anymore. I mean, I still want to know about Succubus Eye's intentions, but I'm more interested now with the Gray and Doriarte fight. And now that we got to mention that this was magic from the Book of Zareth, I don't know how the hell Gray knows about it, but apparently, since anything demonic is completely linked to Zareth. To be honest, the majority of these arcs are always connected to either Jalal or Zareth, so I was wondering when Zareth was gonna come into this somehow. Then again, I still want to know, like, are we ever gonna learn about the Eternal Flame and how the Sun Village and the Giants were frozen? We don't know if this is Succubus's responsibility or what they're after. I still want to know that, but we'll just have to wait and see. So next week's chapter is going to be called Gray versus Doriarte. So we're going to focus more on the Gray and Doriarte fight, which, okay, this might actually be cool, hopefully. I know that Gray might be able to win that, or he'll lose, and maybe Natsu might come in and try to fight against him. I don't know. But then again, Natsu is trying to find the voice. I'm just gonna assume that Gray will either win or he'll probably lose, and somebody has to come and save the day. As for the Erza and Minerva fight, I just don't really care much about it anymore unless Minerva pulls off some really cool magic. But I know that Erza is going to win because she's got the power of friendship on her side. That's why. Yeah, that is Fairy Tail chapter 349. Overall, I thought it was an okay chapter. I don't know. I guess, ever since, the downward spiral that was the Grand Magic Games and then the Dragon Invasion and the whole Eclipse Gate thing and how it was disappointed at the ending, and just chapters like these are actually tolerable compared to that previous arc. So yeah, that is Fairy Tail chapter 349, Moon Spiral 27, and I will see you guys later. Bye.